NZXT is at it again. I think they saw what scientists did with the Impossible Burger, and they decided, hey, let's see if we can do this with a gaming PC. They should have just called this the Impossible PC. Might have gotten a little bit more headlines, but this is the new announcement that they just announced. It is the Foundation PC, and it appears to be a new series that they have along with their starter PC, their streaming PC. Right now, they're really just advertising one, although technically when you go in, there is an H1 edition, but it is not available in the US. It's not even for sale anywhere. You got to hit notify me. So right now, it's more of a single PC than it is a series, but it's $800, and it's a gaming PC that is pre-built for you, no GPU. So how the heck is that possible? Because I thought you have to have a GPU in order to have a gaming PC. Well, here's how they do it. They are using the Ryzen 5 5600G chip from AMD. And what this is instead of a normal CPU, it's called an APU. So it's an accelerated processing unit. Very simple way of looking at it. It is a CPU chip that also has an integrated graphics card. And so it can do a lot of the same things that a graphics card can do. Obviously, not to the scale and to the power that a dedicated GPU can do. It's going to bottleneck the CPU a little bit more when you are doing more GPU intensive tasks. So there's a lot of cons there, obviously, but the pro is being able to do all of those things that you can do on a GPU without having to have a GPU, again, with certain sacrifices in mind. But they are advertising this as a gaming PC, and you can see with their performance benchmarks here, Fortnite 72 frames per second, and this is at 1080p. And if you actually go back to their blog post and you go down to the bottom of it, where was it? You can see, this is probably the key part here, estimated performance at medium settings at 1080. So it's not 1080 high settings, it's 1080 medium. And again, if you are the type where you're just trying, I just want to get into gaming and just start gaming, and I'll worry about the GPU later because you don't want to overpay for a GPU, because right now, unfortunately, there is a markup on GPUs with the supply and demand issue that we're having. So they see this as an opportunity, and that's what I want to kind of get at today. Is this a marketing ploy by NZXT, or is this actually a good buy for someone who is looking to enter the PC gaming market that doesn't necessarily want to fork over a bunch of cash and go all in on a GPU that is a little overpriced, so to speak, right now? That's what we're going to answer today. I think the answer, spoiler alert, is right in the middle. It's a little bit of a marketing thing. I think it's smart what NZXT is doing, just with the shortage going on. But there is an advantage with this build for some people. And so let me break down exactly the cost of this, and to help you figure out, is this the route for you, or are there better routes? And it's not a black and white answer. So let's go back to this PC and look at these specs here. Again, it's $800. It's coming in the classic NZXT H510 case. I've got two of them. I think they're great cases. And you've got the water cooler in there. Sorry, not water cooler. You've got a cooler in there that's over the CPU. It's a 500 gigabyte storage PC. You're getting 16 gigabytes of RAM. It is 3000 megahertz, not 3200. Which is a little bit unfortunate, but you know, whatever. You're seeing that a lot with a lot of these NZXT products. And it comes with a B550 ATX motherboard. So how much would it cost you to build this yourself? Well, I've already done the math for you. I went over to PC Part Picker. I threw in all of the parts. The one big difference here is that with this particular build, I have 16 gigs, but I've got 3200 megahertz here. And that's at $60. This is without like heavy deal shopping. Some of these things I could have even gone cheaper, and there's deals going on all week long for the next couple weeks, right? Where you could probably get this stuff even cheaper, but fairly conservatively, you can get this for $700. That was kind of the final price. If I were to build this out spec for spec myself, it would cost me $700 after, a little rebate here and a little promo discount. And again, without heavy deal shopping, which right now is not hard to do. So that's a $100 difference. The other thing you have to always factor in with NZXT PCs is, at least with the zip codes I've tested here in the US, it's always a $50 flat shipping fee. So it's not just the $100 difference, it's also the shipping. Now, all of these parts right here are all from Amazon and Newegg, and they are all free shipping for me. So I wouldn't have to pay that shipping for all these parts to come out. So if that's where you're going to be getting your parts and you're largely not going to be spending any on shipping, getting out the individual parts, the way to look at it is you are essentially paying NZXT to get these parts for you, assemble them all together for you, and then ship it out. And it's $150 all in. And there's taxes, but taxes apply to both sides. But this ends up being about a $900 PC after shipping and after taxes. But let's just avoid taxes right now, and we'll just call it like, $150 difference is the safe number there. So that's a question for you to answer. Is that worth it? If you are someone who it's not hard to pop in a GPU, anybody can do that. You just don't want to deal with all of the other stuff, then this starts to make more sense. Now, the other thing you have to ask is, well, how much, like, what can I get for a similar range at this price? Like, can I just get another computer with a CPU? Well, if you look at, NZXT's gaming PCs and you go to the starter PC series, they do have one that's 1100. It comes with an i3 9100, not as good as a CPU as you would get with the Foundation, and then a 1660. A 1660 is not bad at all. It's a 1660 Super. I've got a 1660 over there that is a not super graphics card, and it's done. I can play Warzone on high. Obviously, ray tracing and stuff like that. But it's a good graphics card. But if you were to go even higher for something like the Starter Plus PC, where you're now at 1400, this will get you a 3060, but you're essentially paying like a $300 markup on this graphics card versus if you were to like wait for a drop or just wait for the prices to die down, which who knows how long that's going to be. So now you're up, $800 or $600, $600 more for this PC. But with this week being Black Friday, depending on when you watch this, obviously deals are going to be all over the place. But if we use, for example, the trusty Tech Audit TV deals tool, if you have not already bookmarked this, please do. This is a new tool we just dropped. It curates the best of the best gaming and streaming setup deals. I'll link to it down below. It's just techaudit.tv/deals. And you can see here, one of the latest deals that has been caught is right here. Check this thing out. Okay. This is not the same price as $800. It's $1,100, but for $300 more, you can get 16 gigs. And I believe it's 32. Okay, no, it's still 3,000. So 16 gigs, you're getting the same RAM, you're getting the same storage, the cooler, you're getting a better, it's 600 watt. So roughly the same, it's a plus gold. But here's the thing, you're getting you're getting a processor that is equally as good, if not just a little bit better than the 3600. And you are also getting a RTX 2060 graphics card for $300 more. That's not a bad deal at all. If you are someone who just wants to get into gaming and get in with a pretty good graphics card, the 2060 is nothing to sneeze at. Yes, it's not a 30 series card, but it's still a good card that can do a lot of damage in games. So this would be my recommendation for someone who wants to get gaming now. They're fine spending a little bit more for an actual dedicated graphics card. They're going to get a CPU that will function pretty much the same as you would get on the Foundation PC. But if you are someone who doesn't want to go through the hassle of grabbing all the parts and then building it, and you're really going for a 30 series card, then this Foundation PC makes sense. I realize that's a small group of people because I imagine in my mind, the people that are going after a 30 series card and they're in all these discords trying to get these drops, which if you put in the time, you can get them. It just takes a little bit of time and dedication to, get these drops where you can get the graphics cards near, if not MSRP. But But those types of people generally are the type who are also already building PCs or would prefer to build the PCs. But I get that there are people who, I want a game now, I don't necessarily want to build a PC, and I really want a 30 series card. There are a lot of people. I don't want to discredit the amount of people in that group. There are a lot of people who are in that group. And if that is you, then I think that the Foundation PC can make sense for you. So again, you're essentially paying a $150 fee for someone to build it all for you, a professional to build it all for you if you're not confident in your PC building skills, and that includes the shipping out to you. So it's not like you're getting your face ripped off here. And even as you upgrade, assuming you're wanting this as a kind of really good powerhouse gaming PC, this makes sense. If you did want to build something similar, but you also want it to be a little bit more high performance with the CPU side, then I would recommend looking into the 5700G. So this is the 5600G, 6 cores, 12 threads. The 5700G does outperform the 5600G a little bit, but it is like $100 more. So it only makes sense if you're going to be using the PC as is, as a foundation PC for like the next 6 months kind of thing, and then you're going to upgrade. But if you're going to be upgrading to a GPU pretty soon, it doesn't make as much sense to drop as much on the 5700G. I would just invest in like a solid processor like a 5600X, which is cheaper than the 5700G from everything I've seen, and you're getting really good benchmarks. And so that's one thing to keep in mind here. If you're asking like, okay, once I do upgrade my GPU, is this going to be a good CPU? Just because obviously you're not going to be using it for your graphics anymore, because that's the idea of a foundation PC, is you're going to build upon it. Even though the 5600G is in the same family as the 5600X, it's much more comparable to the 3600, the Ryzen 5 3600. Still a great CPU, but not as powerful as the 5600X. You're getting the 6 cores, you're getting the 12 threads, and all of that stuff. Again, a good CPU. I've got the 2700X over there, and that's been great. I've done video editing on that, gaming, streaming. It's not flawless, but it does a really good job. It's not far from the 5600X, but it's not as powerful. It is much more comparable to the 3600, and this 3600, that is pretty much what you're getting. That's pretty much the equivalent of the Intel i5 10400F is the 3600, arguably a little bit better from the benchmarks that I've seen. So again, if you're just wanting to get in and game and you don't necessarily care to have like a 30 series card, this will be able to do, all of your favorite games, high settings. Yeah, you're not going to have like the super high refresh rate. You might have some sacrifices there, like ray tracing and whatnot. You're not going like ultra settings on this thing, depending on the game, but still, it's going to be better than out of the box foundation PC. So that's where you've just got to figure out where you're at with all of this. So yes, smart move by NZXT to capitalize on the shortage right now that we're unfortunately still in. It's not just the Bitcoin miners. We used to always blame them. It's also, I guess they're technically not just mining Bitcoin, but the whole crypto movement and all of that has not necessarily eased a ton. But what's really bottlenecking things is the shortage that's going on. So NZXT sees that happening. They're trying to offer something where you can get into an NZXT pre-built, built by professionals. It's all great hardware inside, without paying, the $1,400 or so that you would get with a GPU. Like, this is for people who want to get that better GPU, but they're sick of waiting. They just want to start gaming. If that is you, this is not a bad option if you want that 30 series card. So let me know what you think about this. This is kind of my raw reaction here. What I like to do is actually get this baby in-house and run it through some games, right? Run it through Warzone, Fortnite, and actually see what we can get here. But yeah, don't be planning on using like a triple monitor setup on this thing, because again, you don't have a GPU to plug in all those monitors. You've just got, the limited amount on the back of the motherboard. So Again, you're not going crazy day one on this thing, but if you do want to start playing Fortnite with your buddies, playing some Rocket League, having a good gaming experience, you're going to be able to get that on this PC. So let me know what you think about that. And if you are someone who just got a pre-built PC, or maybe you're watching this video after buying the Foundation and you're seeing some lagginess, there are things that you can do to speed up your PC and make it a better gaming PC. I will link to that video right here. Go through those steps. I promise, it will make your PC faster, because there are settings that are not on by default that need to be. Enjoy.